My girlfriend Avellini was a frail and pitiable girl. She was clinging and dependent on me, blushing at the slightest touch and collapsing with the gentlest push, but I heartlessly abandoned her, and her tears dried up at the separation. Years later, that pitiful girl became the head of a wealthy family, a dazzlingly beautiful and influential woman surrounded by admirers, with countless wealthy young men wanting to kneel at her feet. When Avellini saw me again, her eyes revealed a thick darkness, her cold gaze iced over, and she was twirling a dog leash forged from gold in her hand. Good dog, put this on, and you won't be allowed to leave me ever again, okay? It had been a full 5 years since I had last seen Avellini, and now I saw her again at a banquet crowded with the giants of the Shanghai business world. Her figure was beautiful, her temperament cold and alluring, and her gorgeous off-the-shoulder purple evening gown made her the focal point of the entire banquet. The changes brought about by the passage of time were too great. She was now so charming, so mature, and so noble. It even made me feel like I was no longer worthy of her. I was at a table at the back, clinking glasses with some young aristocrats who had only been invited to sit there because of their family connections. Ethan, did you see that? That's Avellini, the heir to the Li conglomerate in Shanghai. Tisk, she's really beautiful, and her temperament is unmatched. There's a huge difference between her and those popular female stars and models I played with. I played with almost 100 women, but in front of her, those women are like ducklings compared to a swan. Yeah, Avellini is indeed charming. I laughed and joked along with them. At the same time, I felt a little panicked inside. I really didn't expect that the little pudding from back then could grow to this extent. I was the one who rescued her back then, and I was also the one who abandoned her when she needed me most. Hee. Although our Miss Lee family is so glamorous and beautiful, I've seen her go to bars and order a bunch of male models. Oh, she's actually a woman who enjoys a bit of fun. That's interesting. That's right, it's not impossible for us to have a taste. Stop dreaming. Those were her rumors from the past. The current Avellini already has a fiancé. It's the president of the Mengda Group. The reason I came back to find her this time was for the salvation of the female lead. The system had issued a warning not long ago. Due to significant changes in the world line, the female lead has completely turned dark. If the main characters in the book all die, then this world will collapse and everything will be over. Once the world collapses, everyone will die, and I am no exception. Thinking of this, I felt a little nervous. I didn't know what Avellini's personality had become now. How far had her corruption gone? At the beginning of the banquet, Avellini, as the central figure, suddenly stood up. Her icy gaze swept around. Everyone was a little surprised. Who was Miss Lee looking for? The person who is getting so much attention from Miss Lee must be a big shot. Avellini's gaze rested on my face. Although we were quite far apart, she recognized me at a glance. At this moment, a middle-aged man in a butler's uniform with a white beard walked over. Young Master Zhou, our Miss Lee invites you to come sit over there. I was stunned for a moment, and after hesitating for a few seconds, I decided to follow him. Under everyone's envious gazes, I arrived at Avellini's seat. The butler nodded somewhat cautiously and left, and the several personal secretaries beside her also silently moved away. Avellini was expressionlessly holding a goblet, the red wine inside almost spilling. Her expression was so cold, like she wanted to eat me alive. She was really icy, and it felt like she would slap me at any moment. She had cultivated an extremely powerful aura, radiating an empress-like quality at all times, as if a single word or phrase could determine life and death. I feigned composure, sitting on the chair beside her, revealing my pearly whites with a smile. Avellini, a long time no see. How have you been? Her gaze immediately turned several degrees colder, the corners of her mouth beginning to tremble slightly. Ethan, you're finally back. You still dare to show your face in front of me. Before I could react, she directly slapped me. A crisp slap echoed. This scene was witnessed by many present. The air instantly fell into a deathly silence. Then a cacophony of voices erupted from all directions. What's going on? Miss Lee is hitting someone. This is going to be interesting. That man must have provoked Avellini somehow. I bet tomorrow there'll be a cement pillar added to the bottom of the ocean. I instantly became the target of everyone's attention. The butler who served her, along with several of her personal secretaries, were also startled. Those who had followed Avellini for a long time knew what the consequences would be once she became enraged. This woman had changed, becoming someone I didn't recognize at all. I immediately wanted to escape from here, but at this moment, the dormant system suddenly sent a notification. Warning! Host, former target Avellini has reappeared and has already turned dark. New mission, redeem the Yandere female lead Avellini. Avellini's current darkening value, points. If the darkening value remains high, the host will be locked up with hands and feet bound in a small dark room within 10 days, and the male lead will be killed by Avellini. After the male lead's death, the world will collapse. The female lead's obsession with you remains high. To reduce the female lead's darkening value, let her feel your love for her. Seeing these prompts, I felt both happy and panicked. Avellini still harbored affection for me. Moreover, a route to save the male lead had actually appeared. What's going on? Before I left, the system had said that Avellini would have a good relationship with a male lead, but now she wants to kill people at the drop of a hat. The darkening value is already points. How easy is it to reduce it to single digits? Also, my personal safety is not guaranteed. She even wants to lock me up. This is just sick. After a moment of contemplation, I offered an explanation. Avellini, the reason I left back then was also a matter of necessity. Ding. Warning. Host, Avellini's darkening value has increased by points. Darkened state continuing. Darkening value increased by points. Darkening value continues to increase by points. Due to the difficulty of the mission, mind reading function is being activated. Target Avellini has been bound. Her thoughts can be heard within 100 meters. Avellini began to bite her lip tightly. She seemed to be thinking about something unhappy and was constantly repeating in her heart, Ethan, don't call me Avellini. The thought of how much I used to like you makes me sick. I wish I could just kill you. Back then you betrayed me like that. Now I practically control everything. I almost have the final say in Jinghai City. Ethan, you can't escape the palm of my hand anymore. The restraints to confine you are all ready. Gold, silver, iron. Choose as you please. After hearing Avellini's inner thoughts, I felt uneasy. Let me explain first. I quickly went over and hugged her tightly. Avellini, it was all my fault back then. Everything was my fault. I realized that I've always loved you. Avellini was a little surprised, but the expression on her face was still very stiff, trying to push me away, but her body was as weak as ever, unable to break free at all. You bastard. Back then you abandoned me so mercilessly, and now you want my heart? Let go, or I'll kill you. No, I can't bear to kill you yet. I want to make you my plaything. I didn't care about anything else and kissed her right there in front of everyone. MMPH. She was startled by my offensive and caught off guard. Her inner thoughts were also very active. Just this kind of trick to deal with young girls again. I've already seen through you, you man. Back then I loved you so much, but you found another woman. I'm no longer the girl you could bully back then. I still want to lock you up by my bed. This passionate French kiss lasted for a long time before I reluctantly let her go, and I muttered to myself, damn it, my fate of being in prison hasn't changed. The good news is her cheeks were slightly red as if she hadn't recovered yet, and the crowd watching nearby was also starting to feel restless. Her butler and secretaries were all stunned in place, mumbling that I was dead meat. Offending Avellini like this wasn't just about dying, it would definitely be a fate worse than death. Avellini's fiancé, Alex Meng, was at a table nearby. His face was flushed with anger, and his eyes were full of fury. He stood up and rushed over to stop me. Avellini's blackening value decreased by points. Current Avellini's blackening value, points. Seeing that the blackening value was decreasing, I continued my output, taking her small hand and holding her face to examine it carefully. At this moment, Alex and his bodyguard followers arrived beside me. Who the hell are you? I am Avellini's fiancé. I don't care what relationship you have. You have to get out of here. Facing several strong bodyguards, I wasn't afraid at all. Before, with the system, my physical fitness was much higher than normal people. Besides that, I was also proficient in various skills. Piano, fighting, racing, soccer, mathematics, etc. were all at a master level. Avellini looked at Alex and the others with disdain. Alex, what are you anyway? We're talking. What are you interrupting for? If you really dare to lay a hand on him, just try it. Go away. My business is none of your concern. Alex, if it weren't for my respected grandfather leaving a will, how could I have agreed to this engagement? Alex's face twitched for a moment. Even he was very wary of Avelini's revenge. Go? Who dares to steal the woman of Alex Ming? I want to see. Several bodyguards immediately surrounded me. In the next moment, their thick fists landed. I remained calm, reaching out and quietly knocking down the nearest one. Thud! My fist was fast and heavy, and another bodyguard was directly knocked back several steps by my punch. My stance was impeccable, and they couldn't even react before being knocked down. They were really just amateurs. I felt like I could handle 10 more. Alex was shocked to see his men on the ground, unable to get up. You actually have some skill? Are you a professional fighter? But I'm telling you, this isn't over. Avelini was also very surprised. It was the first time she had seen my skills. The several reversals left everyone confused. From then on, the topic of the banquet was all about me and Avelini. Alex and Avelini were considered a marriage between two major families, and people said they were a perfect match with compatible backgrounds, something I, a wild kid, couldn't compare to. I didn't pay attention to those rumors. During the meal, I dined with Avelini in a manner that was both refined and intimate. Although she is currently very aloof, she still holds a deep affection for me, but I know that the road to her redemption is still a long one. Perhaps many people don't know that Avelini in her childhood was actually a lonely, solitary girl, living alone, a castaway. After I transmigrated into this novel and received the system, my first task was to save a girl about to jump off a building, and this girl was Avelini, who lived next door to me. On the day she decided to jump, I knocked on her door. The person who opened the door was a pale-faced, thin girl. The system prompt said that her life countdown was only 6 hours, which meant that she would commit suicide in 6 hours. When she saw a stranger at the door, her face immediately showed some fear. I clutched my stomach, bent over, and pretended to be starving to death. Please, I'm so hungry. I haven't eaten anything for days. Please get me something to eat. Avelini tilted her head, looked at me through a crack in the door, and said softly, I don't have anything to eat. I always order takeout. Shall I order you something? I nodded and pushed the door open, walking inside. Seeing me come in, she panicked a bit, but didn't say much. The girl's room had very little furniture. It was empty. There was only a sofa and a chair in the entire hall, but she kept it clean and tidy. What method did she want to use to commit suicide? Gas? Hanging? Jumping? Hey, I think you look familiar. You should also be from Chungnan High School, right? She nodded slightly, nervously fiddling with the hem of her shirt. Well, since a guest has arrived, how about pouring me a glass of water? Besides being hungry, I'm also very thirsty. Oh, she replied blankly, and turned to pour water. I also want warm water, okay? All right, but you'll have to wait a bit. Watching her somewhat busy figure, I felt a surge of emotion. This girl is quite pretty and doesn't look like she's from a poor family, so why would she think of committing suicide? Soon after, she brought me a glass of warm water, and just as I was about to drink, she reminded me, be careful, it's hot. I took a small sip of water, waiting for the takeout to arrive. After devouring the meal, I found that her life countdown hadn't changed. She still wanted to die, so I had an idea. Hey, you don't seem to be short of money. How about I come mooch off you for dinner again tomorrow? The girl was a bit hesitant, but after my strong insistence, she still agreed. The life countdown successfully increased by 1 day. Hey, let's skip class today. Today's stupid math class is making me want to sleep. Want to go singing? I think your voice is so good. It must be wonderful to sing. Afraid of horror movies? You're really a coward. You're drunk after less than a bottle of beer. Don't worry, I'll carry you home later. Through my long-term coaxing, I took her to experience some indulgent aspects of life. Eventually, I finally gained her trust, and she lived a normal life, and even found good female friends, a classmate named Clara Yu, a girl who was very beautiful, generous, and lively. The three of us often drove around on weekends. Life couldn't be more comfortable. During this time, I also learned about Avelini's identity. She is the illegitimate daughter of the Li family in Jinghai City. Recently, the Li family is going through a period of power struggles. Under various intrigues and conflicts, Avelini had to live alone as a castaway. The reason she considered suicide was because her mother had died in a car accident not long ago. Only her grandfather remembered her and gave her 10,000 yuan every month, allowing her to experience the pain of having money she couldn't spend at such a young age. After Avellini stopped contemplating suicide, the system updated its mission, saying I needed to win her over. Upon completing a series of tasks, I would receive a reward of a full 1 billion yuan. I was overjoyed. It was practically a freebie. Avellini already relied on me immensely. As soon as I confessed my feelings, she blushed and agreed, and my billion-dollar funds arrived in my account. With this massive influx of funds, I immediately and eagerly started a new life. I began indulging in luxurious pleasures. It's not that I changed. I've always had this kind of personality. Furthermore, I tried my hand at campus entrepreneurship, and it was a huge success. I was even personally praised by the principal, and I smoothly became the most dazzling rising star in the university. This also led to me receiving attention from many girls in school. Even Avellini's best friend, Clara, began to subtly express her love for me, but I consistently maintained my original intention towards Avellini, even more passionately than before. One night, a naked Avellini lay on top of me, murmuring about our future life. I added that I would buy her the tallest building in Jinghai City, so she could live in it and overlook the entire city. I would also buy her expensive luxury cars, provide her with gourmet food every day, make sure she never had to stand when she could sit, and have a pair of servants to take care of her, the wealthy housewife. She laughed happily and wanted me to pinky swear, saying that anyone who lied would be a dog. But the system suddenly popped up a warning, telling me to leave Avellini immediately within a month, because the male lead of the story was about to appear. The upcoming plot involved the male lead returning her to her family and leading her to the peak of Jinghai City. If the female lead held too much affection for me, it could cause too much deviation from the plot, leading to the collapse of the world. Although I knew this day might come, I didn't expect it to arrive so quickly. I felt a bit mournful. In the days leading up to the separation, I put aside my affairs and spent time with Avellini. The day of separation arrived quickly. I left her and unhesitatingly started dating a new girlfriend, and my new girlfriend was actually Clara. I belatedly realized from the system that Clara was actually the second female lead in the script. She was a particularly vicious female supporting character in the book, attempting to kill the female lead several times. To prevent her from hindering Avellini's development in the future, I decided to teach her a lesson. When Avellini found out, she was incredulous. She couldn't believe her best friend had betrayed her and that her boyfriend had also betrayed her. Ethan, what is it that you hate about me? Is it that Clara is very beautiful? Am I very ugly? Tell me, I'll change immediately. Please don't go. I sighed and replied word by word. There's nothing to hate or not. Actually, you're better, but I just feel like nothing matters anymore. That's all. Besides, you're about to be taken back to your family, and your grandfather will arrange a partner for you, right? Your life won't be too bad in the future. After hearing my words, Avellini was stunned in place, not regaining her senses for a long time. Actually, I didn't treat my new girlfriend, Clara, well at all, but rather very harshly. Although she was prettier than Avellini, and countless people at the university pursued her, the person I always loved was Avellini. Faced with my cold attitude, Clara often got the cold shoulder, but even so, she still loved me very much. She seemed to enjoy the feeling of playing hard to get. I was a bit speechless. Shouldn't the second female lead be strong and a little scheming? How come some people think she's kind of cute? Not long after, I ruthlessly planned to break up with Clara as well and decided to go abroad alone to seek new development. I understood that everyone's first love is hard to let go of, and Clara was no exception. In the waiting room, both Avellini and Clara came to see me off. They both hoped I could stay. When I saw the pleading in Avellini's eyes, I hardened my heart and gave Clara a goodbye kiss. While kissing her, I opened my eyes and looked at Avellini, who had her head lowered in a gloomy expression. Tears streamed down her face, her thin figure heartbreaking. Over the past few years, I've tried this method of making money, and it's been quite effective. The company I started in college is still running, providing me with a considerable amount of funds every year. I can be considered a successful young entrepreneur, but compared to Avellini, it's nothing. The Lee family is a large and established family with a long history of accumulation, and since she successfully took over, she has taken decisive action, using various dark methods to firmly control the Li family's various businesses in her hands. She controls connections in both the legitimate and illegitimate worlds. To say she can do as she pleases in Jinghai City is no exaggeration. The script says something about the male lead fighting alongside her, but that didn't happen. All along, Avellini has almost single-handedly fought her way out of the darkness. After the banquet, I was forcefully taken back to a luxurious suite by Avellini. Avellini, who had just finished showering, was standing in front of me wrapped in a bath towel. Her alluring long hair was wet, and her danger zones were faintly visible. Her eyes seemed to be covered with a layer of mist. While I was stunned, her inner voice reached my ears. "Ethan, you've fallen into my palm. After you left me, you found that fox spirit Clara. You just thought she was pretty and had a good figure, right? To get your heart back, I spent years maintaining my body and becoming better than everyone else. Now I understand, men are all the same. Ever since I became beautiful, the way they look at me has changed, full of desire. If you make a move on me tonight, then you're just like them. Liking you is the biggest regret of my life." I subconsciously swallowed and adjusted my breathing. This was actually a test. Just don't touch her, right? I relaxed the expression on my face and reached out to pinch Avellini's cheek. "Avellini, you're so beautiful, so excellent. It's been so long. You've become so amazing, and even become the leader of the family." She didn't say a word, but her captivating eyes were still staring straight at me, listening to my words. "Avellini, it was actually my fault back then. I guarantee I had no choice back then. I haven't touched any of the girls I've been in contact with. I've never forgotten you. I still love you." She was unmoved by my words, and in her heart she was still thinking about imprisoning me, wanting to put a dog leash on my ankle and lock me with a collar and take me out for a walk when she had time and let me pee against the telephone pole. "You sound so good. I don't believe a word of it." I secretly thought. Things were not good. My situation was getting worse. I didn't say anything and simply hugged her. A hint of a smile flashed across her lips. "Ethan, what's the difference between saying you love me and wanting to violate me?" Just when she thought I was going to make a big move, I picked up a nearby towel and tremblingly dried her wet hair. When she realized I wasn't going to touch her, she immediately angrily waved her fist and punched me in the face. I felt the pain but didn't make a sound, letting her hit and scold me. After a while, I heard her crying. Her eyes were red and several tears slipped down. She didn't say anything, but I understood her heart perfectly. "You say I'm beautiful, but why won't you touch me? Since you left me back then, what love are you talking about now? Is this real or fake? I really don't understand. I really don't understand." After that, Avellini had told me to leave. She was very confused and decided to postpone imprisoning me. Before I left, a bodyguard said with a smile, saying that being able to enter Avellini's room was already a great honor. Since she moved here, the bodyguard station nearby had noticed that she always came home alone. Although she had a marriage contract with Alex Ming, people had never seen the two of them being intimate. Instead, they had seen Avellini going in and out of nightclubs a few times. They didn't understand why Avellini was so aloof towards men, not even holding her fiancé's hand. Although I got beaten up, it was worth it. Since I was someone who had entered Avellini's room, I couldn't help but roll my eyes. If I hadn't been clever, Avellini would have put me on a leash. Actually, I wasn't hurt that badly. I was just pretending to lie on the ground. Avellini's punches didn't really hurt me. Tonight's harvest was still huge. Avellini's darkness value had dropped to points. Several days later, Avellini sent me a message inviting me to meet her in her office. The Pearl Building in Jinghai was where Avellini usually worked. Currently, Avellini mainly manages real estate work. She took over most of the real estate contractors in Jinghai, and it's a busy time lately with the construction near high-rise areas. A female secretary immediately smiled when she saw me. "Oh, it's young Master Zhou. Come in. President Li is already waiting for you in the office." As soon as I entered, I looked at another woman in the room. She was wearing a baseball cap, a white short-sleeve shirt, and had shoulder-length hair. Her beauty was no less than Avellini's. I knew her. She was another girlfriend from our university days, Clara Yu. In order to be with the male lead Alex Ming, she ultimately reached into the Li family group, collecting evidence and exposing various scandals. She was the one who caused the first rift between the male and female leads. However, because the plot has been interfered with by me, it has begun to change. Now Avellini is rising too fast. Clara can't make any waves if she tries to move Avellini. I glanced at Clara, then immediately looked away. The system has already issued a warning. When I look at Clara, Avellini's darkness value is skyrocketing. Moreover, she was muttering in her heart, "Ethan, if you look at her one more time, I'll gouge out your eyes." This woman is the only woman in my life who makes me feel frustrated. Back then you abandoned me like a stray dog. I was secretly afraid. This woman is really hard to please. Do I have to lick her feet for her to be satisfied? Ethan, I didn't expect to see you again. Where have you been in the past few years? There's been no news at all. I replied indifferently. Nothing much, just traveled a bit and did some small business. Ah, if only you had taken me with you back then. That would have been great. Hee hee, but you know Miss Avellini is having us reunite today. She probably wants us to catch up properly. We had some conflicts in college, but all that is in the past now. Just like Avellini, she's transformed into the boss of a huge corporation. Amazing. Someone like that came out of our school. Avellini had already decided on the location for the reunion. It was the best nightclub in the city. She smoothly arrived at a private room, ordered a few young and handsome male models, and had them bring in drinks. Then I saw that Daniel, the male second lead in the book, had also appeared as a male escort. He was quite thin and had a slightly androgynous look. He was very good-looking, making it easy for him to win the favor of some wealthy women. Although Daniel became a male escort, he deeply loved Avellini, attracted by her cold and alluring aura and appearance. In the story, he played the role of a hard-working, considerate character, and even helped the female lead a few times. In reality, he was just a simp, chasing after Avellini until he was framed by the male lead Alex, and ultimately lost everything. Miss Lee, welcome. This time you even brought a male companion. That's rare. Avellini directly ignored him, had the male model hand microphones to me and Clara, and ordered a whole series of Jay Chou's songs. Daniel smiled, undeterred, moved closer to Avellini, and began to pour her wine obsequiously. But unexpectedly, there was a mishap when opening the wine bottle, and some of the wine sprayed out directly onto Avellini's wrist. All the male models immediately held their breath, not daring to make a sound. I saw that a woman's watch on Avellini's wrist was directly soaked. Her eyes turned ice cold, and she picked up a thick wine glass and smashed it into Daniel's face. "You are useless. Do you know what this watch means to me? If it gets ruined, 100 of your lives wouldn't be enough to compensate." After hitting him several times, Daniel lay on the ground, covered in blood, unconscious. Clara was so scared that she was speechless. I could tell that the watch on Avellini's wrist was actually a very ordinary, no-name brand, worth less than 500 yuan, but it was the one I gave her when she turned 18, with her name engraved on the frame, making it a unique item. The male second lead had inadvertently touched Avellini's sore spot. He might be getting written out of the story early. I sighed and, wanting to try to relax Avellini, invited her to sing together. These songs were ones we used to sing often at karaoke when the three of us were still friends. Avellini's singing voice was even more beautiful, and Clara also sang very well. Both were at the level of professional singers. Sing a song, drink a cup, and the male models readily poured another drink. Avellini and Clara began to compete against each other in drinking. Several bottles of expensive cocktails were drunk by them. Avellini's resentment was still erupting. "Clara, I once regarded you as my best friend, my closest confidant. But you stole my love, stole my only one. I hate you, too. If it weren't for you, none of this might have happened. Now I have power in my hands, and you're just a little ant working at a company. Let's see how you fight me." She might be about to start her revenge, intending to completely destroy Clara in front of me. The alcohol began to numb our minds, and a strange fire burned within me. Suddenly, a dozen burly men rushed in and blocked the door. Hearing her thoughts, a sense of unease washed over me. The last glass of wine was spiked. No one can resist that burning sensation. "Ethan, choose me or her. If you still have feelings for Clara, then I will completely ruin her. Let her be humiliated, send her to be a prostitute, and only be free after serving 10,000 men." Under the influence of the drug, Clara, Avellini, and I started to feel hot. Things were escalating beyond control, and my choice was naturally Avellini. I had always loved only her. Clara's expression turned sorrowful when she saw my choice, and she tried to hug my waist and wouldn't let go. Ethan, you clearly chose me when we separated at the airport. You kissed me. You shouldn't treat me like this. We still have a chance. We can still be together. Choose me, okay? I'm so hot. I pushed her away directly in my confused state. Avellini's voice rang out. Knock that woman unconscious and throw her out. That night, Avellini had me again, and her corruption value began to plummet. The next day when I woke up, I found myself lying on a soft bed. I rubbed my still aching head, recalling the pleasure of last night. Avellini was like a clingy spirit, almost draining me dry. At this moment, a male butler walked over and handed me a glass of warm water. Young Master Zhou, Miss has already instructed that you will live here from now on. She has publicly announced the termination of her engagement with the main group. You are now the husband that Miss has chosen, and you are also considered the second master here. However, she told you that you cannot leave this room. Is she going to keep me under house arrest? A sense of frustration welled up in my heart, and I made several calls to Avellini. Now Avellini's corruption value is still at points, and she is still in a very irrational state. Avellini, you can't treat me like this. Let me out. I said I will only love you. Avellini laughed coldly on the other end. Huh. Since you love me, then you should listen to all my arrangements. Don't worry, we'll be together forever soon. Don't run away, or I'll tie you up with chains. I looked at the butler beside me and tentatively asked if I could sneak out. He shook his head decisively. Alas, young Master Zhou, we cannot disobey Mrs. S. orders. If you really go out, then we will also suffer greatly. Right now, Avellini is probably dealing with a male lead outside. When the two major forces in Jinghai start to clash heat-in, it will definitely involve many unexpected things. At night, Avellini returned. I was sitting in the living room playing the piano, and several servants gathered around listening to my performance. As the performance began, a slightly melancholic mood spread around. Avellini came to my side and directly told the servants to get out. You play the piano so well, too. You really give me a lot of surprises. She sat beside me, closing her eyes to rest as she listened to my performance. From her thoughts, I learned that she was actually very troubled. Alex is ruthless enough. After I broke off the engagement, he joined forces with many forces to target me. It's not that I don't want to go to war, but they're forcing me. The development zone she was working on was under construction, but today someone was causing trouble. A worker died in an accident, falling from the 8th floor, his head pierced by a steel bar. In the arena of commercial warfare, opponents sometimes resort to unscrupulous tactics. Avellini was already used to it, and had begun formulating countermeasures. In the original plot, the female and male leads both possessed exceptional intelligence and business acumen. Together they reached the pinnacle of Jinghai City. But now, because of my appearance, the plot had twisted into them becoming bitter enemies, with the second female and second male leads exiting the stage early. Hey, Alex isn't easy to deal with, is he? Need my help? Help me? Your mission is to make me happy, cheerful, excited, and thrilled. From now on, stay by my side like a little dog, wagging your tail whenever you see me. I'll take care of everything outside. You don't have to worry. Come on, first wear this dog collar for me. I want to try what it feels like to walk a dog. I struggled fiercely, but she suddenly pulled out a syringe from her arms. If you resist, you'll regret it. She was actually treating me like a toy. My lips twitched. Avellini squatted in front of me and put the dog collar on me. Hey, you should still remember, right? After violating the oath, you have to be a little dog. I've always remembered, so I prepared the accessories long ago. Gold, silver, iron, which one do you choose? Do I really have to choose? I had a face full of black lines, but if I had to choose, gold was definitely the most upscale. Of course, this is what you owe me. Gold then. So obedient. Avellini smiled sweetly. Come on, wear it properly, little doggy. Woof, woof, woof. Bark a few times for me. A week later, Avellini's 20th birthday arrived. Her subordinates had already made preparations for a grand birthday banquet, and members of various family factions sent expensive gifts. But this time Avellini refused to accept any of them, returning them all. I began to reminisce. In the past, I always spent her birthdays with her. No need for expensive gifts, no need to spend so much time preparing, Just a small cake would be perfect. I'm already 28 years old, almost 30. Time flies by so fast, I'm not prepared at all. Hey, let's go out together, especially today. You'll accompany me to spend this birthday. I gained a brief period of freedom and followed her to the city. This time, Avellini was very low-key, not bringing any bodyguards, just me by her side. She drove me to a small restaurant. It was a place we used to frequent, and her favorite dish was the meat sauce noodles, cheap, simple, and delicious. I bought this place today. Only us are dining here. No one will disturb us. Although I've changed in many ways, my appetite is still the same. We started eating quietly. Halfway through the meal, she leaned her head on my shoulder. That night, as we were returning, I, sitting in the driver's seat, suddenly felt the car's speed becoming uncontrollable. Avellini, there's something wrong with this car. Someone tampered with it. My eyes narrowed, and I saw in the rearview mirror that two people were riding motorcycles close behind us, and on the front of their bikes there was a machine with a flashing red light. Avellini's luxury car had the most advanced autonomous driving function installed. It seemed it was being interfered with by some signals, which was causing the car to lose control. Looks like someone wants you dead. Avellini was very calm. There are plenty of people who want me dead. In a moment of panic, she immediately called for rescue. The journey was long, and even at the fastest speed it would take them more than 10 minutes to arrive. The speed has already hit 200 kilometers per hour. My driving skills are at a master level, and I successfully drifted through several treacherous curves. I drove the car directly onto the highway, but the two motorcycles behind me were still relentlessly chasing. Avellini experienced the feeling of driving at top speed for the first time, and instead of feeling scared, she was extremely excited and thrilled. The corners taken at top speed were all very dangerous. Anyone else would have probably crashed. Ethan, you drive really well. Oh, let's just drive like this to the end of the world. I shouted loudly. Don't be so crazy. Think carefully, what kind of countermeasures do we have in this car? I don't want to die yet. Avellini glanced at me and took a black pistol out of a drawer. I'll try to shoot them. Have you ever used a gun before? No, but I think it's worth a try. Then aim and shoot accurately. Avellini stuck her right hand out of the window and aimed at the motorcycles chasing behind her, firing shots. It has to be said that she was just shooting randomly, purely wasting bullets. Give me the gun. I immediately grabbed the pistol, holding the steering wheel with one hand and extending the other out the window. This gun had the last bullet. I accurately hit the front tire of one of the motorcycles. The tire exploded and the enormous impact sent the motorcycle flying to the side, while the driver flipped several times in the air before landing. No more bullets. I was a little panicked. Now there was still one motorcycle tailgating us. Avellini was quite satisfied. There was only one magazine of bullets. Once they're gone, they're gone. Taking out one is already pretty good. I realized that the car's speed wouldn't increase anymore. However, the brakes still aren't responding. Even if the speed wouldn't increase any further, it was still very dangerous. As we approached a service area, a large truck blocked our path. I had to swerve immediately, but at high speed, any change in direction would cause the car to lose control. In the next moment, the car flipped over, scraping upside down on the ground for several meters. The two of us felt a dizzying earthquake, and the motorcycle that had been chasing us didn't escape the disaster either. It crashed directly into the large truck. The driver was thrown out, while the motorcycle was smashed into pieces and caught fire. I immediately fell into a brief coma. When I woke up, I felt intense pain all over my body. I looked at Avellini next to me and found that her eyes were closed and she hadn't woken up yet. The car had been crushed quite a bit, and her head had hit something, causing her to bleed. Actually, my condition was worse. My right arm was pinned under the steering wheel and was broken. I abruptly pulled out my arm, and the intense pain made me groan a few times. Next, I dragged my exhausted body and slowly rescued Avellini from the car. Her face was covered in blood, and foam tinged with blood was spreading from the corners of her mouth. I carried her forward a few steps. The fire on the side of the truck had already begun to spread, and I suspected that there would be an explosion soon, which would be dangerous. Avellini suddenly woke up and looked at me, who was also covered in blood, with tired eyes. I felt pain all over my body now. Every step I took seemed to exhaust all my strength. She opened her eyes and looked at my disheveled appearance with a smile that wasn't quite a smile. After escaping from the brink of death, I collapsed directly onto the ground, gasping for breath, and Avellini slowly lay on top of me, as if listening to my heartbeat. Although she didn't have the strength to speak, I could hear her inner thoughts. "Ah, my Ethan, if we were to die together like this, it wouldn't be so bad." Soon after, ambulances, police cars, and Avellini's subordinates arrived. I began to hear sirens and playful voices in a daze. A while later, I fell into a coma again. When I regained consciousness, I could vaguely see Avellini with bandages on her head and arms, along with several doctors surrounding my bed. Possible total paralysis. How could this be? What? The doctor explained. The patient's spine suffered extremely severe damage, likely due to strenuous exercise after the car accident. Our surgery isn't guaranteed to be 100% successful. He did all this to save me. Avellini bit her lip, then shouted loudly. "I don't want to hear any nonsense. In short, you must save Ethan. Use the best resources, get the best doctors here. If he really can't stand up again, I really don't know what I'll do. Ethan, nothing can happen to him." This assassination attempt was extremely serious. The forces supporting Avellini were furious. They could easily guess that Alex and his gang were behind it. This accident resulted in a minor cut on Avellini's shoulder and a graze on her head, plus various minor injuries. She would recover after a period of rest. My condition was much more serious. My injuries wouldn't have been so severe, but I carried Avellini for a distance while internally bleeding, which worsened my condition. My biliary duct was ruptured, my ribs were bent, and my right arm, abdomen, and spine all required surgery. With the best domestic facilities and the best doctors providing treatment, my surgery was completed successfully. During my recovery, Avellini launched a revenge. She initiated a trade war with a harm 1,000, lose 800 approach. Since the other side was trying to assassinate the commander, they used similar tactics such as tracking, theft, and threats. Soon after, Avellini caught Alex's weakness and sent him directly to prison. The male lead being sent to prison by the female lead. I really hadn't anticipated this plot development. The system was also very sensible in indicating that since the male lead wouldn't die, the world wouldn't face collapse. I also noticed that Avellini's blackening value was about to return to zero. When my injuries had healed and I was discharged from the hospital, Avellini was the first to pick me up. She wore casual clothes for the first time in a long time, put on a sun hat, and had light makeup, looking just like a college student. She took my arm and said timidly, "Ethan, I was a bit fierce before, and even put a dog collar on you, but you have to know I was influenced by power to be that way. I'm not really that fierce. In the future, I will always be good to you, and you are never allowed to leave me." I touched my nose. She made it sound nice, but the words in her heart were a different story. Bastard Ethan, lying down for so long and making me worry every day. Hurry up and come back to our love nest with me. Looking so weak. Will you even be able to perform tonight? If you don't make me happy, watch me send you back to the hospital. I was embarrassed and my mouth twitched. The docile Avellini of the past would never return. After several years, Avellini's conglomerate had returned to normal. She was now steadily at the top of Jinghai City, looking down upon everyone. But in recent days, the company executives rarely saw Avellini. Only a few of her closest confidants knew about her leaving. Inside a secluded villa by the sea, Avellini was complaining to me. "So annoying. I want to retire, but they still bother me all the time." I try to calm her down. Some things you can't just give up when you want to. Go back and see after you give birth to the child. Humph. So my vacation is less than a year. I might as well just leave for good. Let's run away together. A lot of money is mine, and I have properties all over the world. We can live happily anywhere. I scratch my head. She promised to be a virtuous wife and mother, but her temper is getting worse and worse. Since Avellini's blackening value reached zero, the system has completely disappeared, indicating that the plot of this world is considered complete and there will be no more world collapses. I breathe a sigh of relief. Finally, nothing will stop me from being with Avellini. The future of me and her together has only just begun.